Let's talk about Hurricane Helene, the aftermath, FEMA, misinformation. But to lead us there, let's talk about stable homes. I'm not talking about physical homes. No, this is not a discussion about guarding against the mudslide, which you can't do. I'm talking about a nuclear family home. Sounds like I'm going someplace different. I'm not. Just stay with me. Stay with me. Have you ever done any reading or watched any documentaries? I know we've talked about it on this show before, about what a stable home will do for children as they grow into being adults. I don't have all the numbers. I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of statistics, but it's something that's been widely known and widely studied now forever, that if you're a child and you are raised in a stable home with a loving mother, a loving father, statistically, there are no guarantees in life. You could still end up being a dirtball, but statistically, that is the highest privilege there is. More than money, more than houses, more than food, more than cars. But statistically, as far as how children grow up and turn out, if you are from a stable home, stability, love in the home, you are set up for life in a way people who don't are not. And vice versa. This may be that your background, so I'm sure you turned out fine. Again, nothing's universal, but if your home is broken, shattered, dad ran out on you, divorce, disaster, drugs, crime, statistically, every single number says that statistically, your chances of turning out the way the stable family guy did are just not very good. You are on a wild path. Now, what does any of this have to do with Hurricane Helene, FEMA, misinformation, the aftermath? Well, let's discuss this. Why? Why the difference in the stable homes? There's a bunch of different reasons, but one of the main reasons is this. If me, Jesse, if I came from a stable home, and I do, love you, Dad and Mom, my parents are still together, loving family. If you come from a stable home, what it gives you is an anchor. You have an anchor of something. You know what stability looks like, integrity looks like, genuine love looks like. You know what these things look like, and that's the environment you were raised in. And so when you leave that environment and you go out into the world where everything can be transactional, your friends, your business, your everything, people will try to do you wrong, people will lie to you. You still have that anchor of having been raised in a stable home, so you can find lies and bad people right away. That guy's a bad guy, that guy's a cheat, that guy lies. You are much less susceptible to blowing in the winds. And if you're from an unstable home, exactly the opposite. Because you were, through no fault of your own, maybe this is your story, raised with instability in the home. You don't have that anchor holding you down, and you go out into the world surrounded by transactional people and situations and lies and cheats, and you will blow with the wind much more easily than someone who didn't. So let's discuss the government, misinformation, and FEMA. Because I saw the FEMA lady over the weekend run to the news in the wake of FEMA's rampant failure. They have failed the American people in the wake of Hurricane Helene. She ran to the news to whine about misinformation.
So much is going viral online as well. One user suggested yesterday that a militia should go against FEMA, got more than 500,000 views. What kind of impact has this had on the recovery effort?
It has a tremendous impact on the comfort level of our own employees to be able to go out there, but it's also demoralizing to all of the first responders that have been out there in their communities helping people, FEMA staff, volunteers, the private sector that are working side by side with local officials to go out and help people. I need to make sure I can get the resources to where they're needed. And when you have this dangerous rhetoric like you're hearing, it creates fear in our own employees. And we need to make sure we're getting help to the people who need it.
Oh, I wish you would stop lying. We're trying. We're doing the best we can. It's not like she was alone. If you watched the media over the weekend, it was a steady drumbeat of politician after media person after bureaucrat complaining about all these lies. A Corinne Diversity hire was out there doing it too.
Former President Trump is accusing the Biden administration of using FEMA funding to support undocumented migrants. How is the White House responding to that?
I mean, it's just categorically false. It is not true. It is a false statement. And look, the fact of the matter is, I think Washington Post fact checker did a piece, and the headline recently, just moments ago, not too long ago, and the headline was, "No, Biden did not take FEMA relief money to use on migrants, but Trump did."
Okay. Well, look, what she's doing there is she's lying without lying, because they're on camera discussing FEMA handing out money to illegals.
Funding is also available through FEMA's Emergency Food and Shelter Program to eligible local governments and non-for-profit organizations upon request to support humanitarian relief for migrants.
Okay, so let's set that aside, though. What they're talking about is different funds. It wasn't from that fund, it was from a different fund, but they're complaining about the misinformation. These are lies. Why are people believing this? Well, you see, remember COVID? Remember COVID? I'm not changing the subject. Stay with me. This is going to come back to the home thing and the misbelief and things like that. Remember COVID? And there were a million things we did wrong with COVID. You heard me scream about them every day here on the television set. But remember what I used to say about the public trust during COVID? About how you're violating the public trust right now. You're lying about this. You're lying about masks. You're lying about social distancing. You're lying about the deaths. You're lying about the hospitals. It's lie after lie after lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. And you may have justified all these lies in your mind when you look at yourself in the mirror at night. But what you're doing is you're violating the public trust to such a degree that going forward, no matter what happens to the American people, war, famine, natural disaster, when you want information out there or when you want to correct misinformation, the people won't believe you, and the only person you have to blame is you because you can't stop lying now. Remember when I used to tell you that all the time? We now live in a society where misinformation, if there is any out there, and there's plenty of information and misinformation about Helene, but information, misinformation, it doesn't matter what it is, it will travel much faster today and have much more of an impact than it ever had before, because the same people who told you ivermectin is horse paste are the people telling you FEMA's doing everything it can to help the victims of Hurricane Helene. You can't lie to me over and over and over and over and over again, because now I don't know what to believe. Now I'm from that unstable home. I'm an American citizen. I have no stability at home. I don't have an anchor. I don't believe the CDC. I don't believe FEMA. I don't believe the FBI. I sure as hell don't believe the White House. I don't believe the media. I don't believe the scientists. I don't believe the doctors. I don't believe the weather people. I don't believe Harvard. I don't believe any of you people. And you have yourself to blame for that lack of belief. And now that I don't believe anything, now that my home has been shattered through no fault of my own, I am going to blow with the wind, because there is no more anchor. There is no more stability. And if you're looking for someone to blame, go find the bathroom mirror. The same people who lined up and told me Donald Trump colluded with Russia to win an election, the people who told me George Floyd died because of a knee in the center of his back, the people who told me I needed to take the vaccine, it stops the spread, it slows the spread, whatever, take your booster shot. The same people who told me lie after lie after lie after lie after lie are now standing up every single day complaining, why are they doing all this misinformation stuff? You shattered the home. I don't have anywhere else to turn. I don't have anywhere else to go. And look, you want me to trust you. Are you earning it? When you have these, I believe they're bi-weekly talks about LGBTQ FEMA stuff, you think I'm going to trust you when the beep hits the fan?
Sparked a few things in my mind, thinking about preparedness and how you said, LGBTQIA people and people who have been disadvantaged already are struggling. They already have their own things to deal with. So you add a disaster on top of that. It's just compounding on itself. And I think that is maybe the why of why we're having these discussions is because it isn't being talked about. It isn't being socialized. We're not paying attention to this community.
As Leo mentioned, there were those conversations, not only with migrant trans women. Being a migrant trans woman, there is an undocumented concern. There is also a concern of whether they would trust the places that are offering shelter that are faith-based because of the way they've been responded to in the past. Then if they are accepted, what would happen in terms of misgendering, in terms of bedrooms and bathrooms, et cetera. And then in addition,
Yesterday, I'm worried about the migrant trans stuff getting misgendered in a church. Today, hey, why don't you guys trust us? You get what you get. Don't throw a fit. I tried to warn you during COVID this was coming. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.